Hi, dear viewers. I welcome you all to join our YouTube live. Today, we are going to discuss the upcoming market scenario, and also we will discuss the previous week's, momentum, what actually the news had been reacting, and how. Uh, we are gonna let you know that how we are going to see the market will react for the next upcoming week. And also, I'd like to inform you that in this live session today, okay, so here, our live has been started. So if you have any questions related to anything related to market, feel free to ask over here. With time, I would like to answer all of your questions simultaneously. So what we were there is that likewise, like every week on Sunday at this time, EST 11 a.m. and GMT plus 6 9 p.m. We are here to discuss the upcoming week's market scenario and also the previous week's performance in order to in terms of the market news and how our strategies and forecast, or let's just say prediction, reacted and reflected in the market. So that's what we are going to discuss today. And also there has been an announcement that our pro life course has just been started. So anyone who is very much eager to learn, he can also enroll over here, no worries. And this is a very cool thing, right? Let's just say it's our office now. Let's just say I want to have a roam around in our office, by the way. So let's just check it out, how an office could look like that base. So before just, starting to, talk about the next market scenario, let's just have a look on how we're seeing, like over here, you're seeing me, my Linktree ID. And over here, that's what actually we are working, over here as a team. So that's me. And you will have, detailed, information about our team in our website, forexwaveexpert.com. And from here to our Telegram, channels, you can also have access, to every information we share. And also, if you have any questions, you can ask us, and any of our admin who is on live will try to answer you those. So here we go. And please don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel and also like our previous videos, so that also you can stay updated what's coming next. Now, let's just hop into the previous week's scenario. In previous weeks, we had Australian USD, Australian dollar monetary policy meetings. And according to the price that we are seeing on wage price index on Australian dollar, it was below than the forecast value. And obviously it was similar to the previous value. So kind of like weak for Australian dollar. But on the same day, we have seen that on Tuesday, August 15, we have seen that there have been industrial production news of China being released. And there we have seen that the present value is actually lesser than that of the forecast value as well as the previous value. So now in this kind of scenario, what we can tell that if Chinese China's won, if it gets weakened to any fundamental data or economic indicator data, we can say that subsequently, due to political actions and scenarios, US dollar becomes a little bit strong on that particular day. Now let's have a look to the market, that how it's gonna reflect. Okay, I just forgot to open, the chart portion. So here we are. So let's just get back to the other room where we can discuss all over our market. In the seats, you can also come in future if you really want to. So no issues. Let's just hop into the market now on let's just say on gold pair on 15th August, which is this day. We had seen a very harsh bearish movement after the news release up to 100 plus pips, but later on US session, it just a little bit, it gets a little bit, choppy over here. It rejected back a little bit, but haven't actually crossed and have a closure above this level. So no buy trade could have been executed for gold. Moreover, as we have spoken in our previous, Sunday live sessions, that this level for gold is very much important. So we have seen that in this week, it's actually been crossed now. According to our analysis, its next target could be somewhere around 1850. That's what actually we are going to tell in details a little bit later on. But previously, the situation is that on August 15th, we have seen a little bit US dollar strength after the CNY Chinese one news. Now, let's get back to the news sections again. And on Tuesday, we had GBP employment data. Now, let's hop into the GBP USD chart if possible and get back to the August 15th side now. When we are here, on the GBP side, we have seen that the news result was a little bit, let's just say, weak, or let's just say negative for British pound, but it intended to, let's just say, make the pound a little bit weaker, like this. But it was only a 30 or 35 pip movement we have seen over right here on pound session. So for obvious reasons, that doesn't comply according to the, weekly trend too. It was actually bullish. So we can say that though being British pound a little bit weaker on the news released, we can say that US dollar was more weaker than pound, and that actually tended GBP USD to have some bullish run despite negative news on British pound. Now, on the same day on Tuesday, we had CPI news of Canada. So we can hop into USD CAD chart so that we can have a view. So the day we are talking is like still on August 15 over here. So when USD CAD, Canadian dollar CPI news been released, we have seen that it was kind of, positive, kind of like, in percentage, it's 6 times more than the previous values. Obviously, it's very much positive, and that actually tended Canadian dollar to get stronger a little bit more. And we have seen the reflection on the chart over here. Like this is the time when the price, released, and then it continued to go on the bearish side that day, the next day too. So we will talk about the next day when we have a good clear view over here. On the same day, on Tuesday, we had a news of retail sales for US dollar, which was positive too. So despite being a positive news on US dollar, we have seen USD CAD on that same particular day to act a little bit weaker. Sorry, it's not USD CAD. This is USD CAD. Yeah, that's the thing, man. I was showing the wrong chart. Sorry, my bad. So let's get back to the USD CAD chart. Yes, that's the correct chart over here. So on Canadian dollar news, the news was kind of like positive. Now for that, USD CAD, after the news been released, it actually moved only 48 points, merely 50 pips, most probably not 48 points. It's 50 pips. So in the news effect of 6 times more previous value, 6 times more present value than that was on previous value for CPI news on Canadian dollar, we have seen a little bit harsh bearish move on USD CAD despite US dollar had some good positive news over here on retail sales and core retail sales. We have seen that the Canadian dollar news has, didn't actually reflect that much on USD CAD pair, and later on that day it shifted back above, and it created a bullish trend later on that day. After that day, so we can say that the news was just to attain some, sell stop hunt, or to touch the fair value gap liquidity over here, or we can say that the news helped USD CAD pair to reaccumulate on this zone, if we can be very much specific. So This is the zone we are talking about. Yes. So in this zone, it actually, had some, bumpy rides, and then it grabs the liquidity and then shoot up. Now, what could be the possible outcome for, the next week? We will get back to that too. Now, on Wednesday, we had New Zealand dollar cash rate, which was actually been stable. It hasn't been, increased or decreased. And we had GBP CPY on Wednesday, which was, uh, a little bit less than the previous value, but a slight above than the forecast value. So let's just see on 16th August what actually market been reflected. Now, when the news released, the GBP news was positive according to the forecast value. Now, for that reason, I guess this a little bit bullish movement occurred. But later on that day, we have seen a little bit, choppy moves on GBP USD, and we can call it as a bullish sideways movement because it neither that much bearish to put some trades on, or neither nor it's been that much kind of buy signal has been generating over this zone. So that's what we got for with Wednesday. We are also building permits news that was kind of like stable than the previous value and below than the forecast value. And we can say that we had FOMC meeting minutes on on Thursday 12 a.m. on GMT +6 time zone. So we had some bumpy rides on Thursday. On this side, that's what we can say. Yes, on this side, yeah. So that was the bumpy ride. After the news, dollar got stronger. If you can see a little bit on gold on 16, yeah, this was the move. It was like 90 pips move on gold on the positive side of the US dollar, because US dollar strengthened after the FOMC meeting minutes. That's what we have seen over here. Same here too on 17th August. Now for USD CAD, we can have a look on USD CAD, because on 17th earlier that day, yeah, this time the news released and it was still up. So overall, the FOMC reaction was reflected as a strong US dollar. And on Thursday, we had Australian dollar employment related news, and also likewise on every week we had unemployment claims news. On Friday, we had GBP retail sales news, but it was actually a little bit more negative than the previous value. Let's have a look on GBP USD on the very last day of the week, Friday. Now on this day, GBP news actually been reflected likewise. So after the news released, it put some bearish move right over here, but later on it rejected on US session. So we can say that overall it was kind of like sideways for pound too. So that was the representation of the previous week. Now, what our prediction reflected, let's get back to that way. We had predicted that yes, market needs to close the H1 or H4 candles below these levels, and it did on the last week, and the sell trend continued. We can see on H1 chart. We are talking about this bearish trend for gold. Now for USD CAD, we can say on the dollar's trend side, the last week it was kind of like bullish. We had informed that it needs to close above this level on this high, and it actually did, and it continued to grow on the bullish side. Now for the US 30 side, we had informed that if this level has been compromised and the price been breached and closed on H1 and H4 candles, then the market likely to go initially on this level on 34,500 level or below for the second target at 34,050. 34050 level. So that's what actually we had been discussing on the couple of weeks according to the markets and charts. Now we had seen that US 30 reflected nice. The gold pair, it also reflected very well enough according to our predictions. And for GBP USD, we can say that this was the zone we had talked about previously. Now it didn't break that zone. Rather, I can say we all can see that the previous week, GBP USD was a little bit acted like a little bit sideways, like 2 previous weeks. So for GBP USD and pound pair, it's a little bit complicated. But for the other currencies related to commodity and other businesses like USD CAD, gold, and US indices acted just as we expected. Now, for the next week, we can talk about how our analysis could be. Because as we say that it reflected correctly, I mean our analysis on the live sessions as we discussed. Because you see gold pair moved just as we have spoken that it need to have some value below this level, closing on H1 and H4 below this level, and it did, and it maintained that trend too. For US 30, it also did that. Sorry, this was the chart. Okay, for US 30, it also did that. And it maintained, it hit our initial target price just in 2 days. So let's see how our next week's gonna be and how some important news discussion are gonna be for the next week. So on Monday, we have 1-year prime rate loan, which is being forecasted that it's gonna be less than the previous value. Now, if on this particular day we see Chinese yuan value been actually on the negative side, we can say that for obvious reasons, US dollar will be stronger after the news if the value is been less than both of the previous and the forecasted value. Now, if the value is in between these two, then maybe we can expect some choppy moves on US dollar related, every instruments, and also on the Asian instruments too. But if the value increases, then US dollar may experience some harsh weak movements on Chinese yuan on this particular day. Now, what we are talking about, let's have a reflection on the chart. Let's say for gold, if we see when the news releases, and we can see that it breached these, liquidity level, and also is been roaming around this liquidity level at 1904. So after the news effect, if we see that yes, US dollar becomes weak and breached these two levels, then obvious reasons it's gonna go a little bit high, at least this level, which is we can say 1925 level, to have grab some liquidity to go more on the sell side. Now, if we see that yes, on that particular day, Chinese news get a little bit more weak, and we will expect a good strength on US dollar on that particular day after the news been released. And for that reason, US dollar will be stronger and gold will get a little bit, bumpy rides and then bang to the bearish side. And our initial target for the gold, it's still 1850 level. So to reach that, I guess it needs to go nearly 350 plus pips below the weekly closure previous week. Now, to move these kind of 300 plus pip movement for gold, it needs also a little bit of liquidity. So on the very first phase of the week, we are expecting some good accumulation on the bullish side for gold. And later on, when the week continues, when the news acts according to what we expect, so we will search for some bearish, entry opportunities for gold. Now, on Tuesday, we have BRICS summit. Now, guys, remember, BRICS has been acting as we would like to say something that is actually been on the news, but it's hardly reflecting the market because any news related to any new economic thing needs to have some strong core fundamental values to reflect on the market, right? Now, for the BRICS, it's been still on the talk. Nothing concrete or fundamental things are being set up to make it a fruitful organization in terms of economic and financial transaction. So as the talk is still going on, so we can say that this summit will affect that much, but there are risks due to geopolitical tensions. Let me clear you at this particular moment. Uh, if anything related to uh, news or threats against the US dollar or its allies when it comes to in this kind of summit, then it will be kind of like bad for the economy on the both side too. Now, what we can say that in these 2 days of summit on Tuesday and Wednesday, yes, in those 2 days we have to be very very cautious on trading any currency pairs or commodities or indices or even cryptos because of this thing. Because we have seen a good liquidity pull up from the crypto market in the coming, in the past days, right? And if that continues in the coming days, then we can see more fund pull out from the crypto market. Also in indices, funds been pulling out. Also, we can see we have seen that in the commodity market, gold's price been actually on the bearish side. So if you sum up all these scenarios, we can see that many of the key players are actually holding a little bit tension moment inside them on this summit, because what actually reflects in the summit we never know. And this kind of news, this kind of facts and events is gonna have the first time, because lastly, on the fundamental side, we have seen that there has been economic coalition or group been formed as Eurozone. We have actually seen now. We also trade Euro USD in many Euro USD related futures or derivative instrument in many kind of like platforms. But this BRICS is not like Euro or something like that. This is also a coalition, but it's something against the core reserve currency that been signed on the Bretton Woods Pacts on 1992. So still, even after many issues and events, US dollar is still right now the reserve currency of the world. So against that, any kind of statement or any kind of threat is been considered as very serious effect on the market. But we don't know yet. We can actually been only predict. That's it. Now we have existing home sales news on US dollar. So a lot of things depends on the Chinese news. We're gonna come to that article later on. Now on Wednesday we have French manufacturing news, we have German manufacturing news, we have pounds flash manufacturing PMI news, we have Canadian news, we have US dollar news. So as we can see on the second day of the BRICS summit, what will happen is that on the first day the BRICS members will share their opinion. People will make some memes, the politicians and also the journalists will share their point of views. In Twitter, it will get trending on many, important aspects that have been discussed. But the reply on the ally side, on US ally side, we can say French, we can say Germany, Britain, and also US dollar news is going to release on the very second of the BRICS summit. So a lot of gonna replies has been come to on this particular Wednesday. That's what I'm expecting. So a harsh move can happen or harsh spike can happen on that day if they are gonna reflect as a reply on the first day of the summit on this second day on Wednesday. So if that not much needed, it will be better to stay out from the market on that particular day. But for the M1 or 1 minute scalper, I guess it's a very good opportunity because you can see the overall structure, what's the news been reflecting. Now, if the market respects the economical data been reflected on the news, then likely we can have a good trend breaking movements on this particular day. Now, that's why I've been telling that this day on the Wednesday, it can create some, good buzz or bad buzz and, break some supports and resistance levels or key demand and supply zones, or we can say fair value liquidity gaps or BOS or CHOCH. So these things are going to break this day on the effect of this news, and market may start to act its movement on its trend. So that's what actually we are expecting for the movements on this particular day, Wednesday. Now on Thursday, we have likewise unemployment claims news. And also in this third day, BRICS summit will have. And the most important news is also we're going to release over here because it's also the day one of Jackson Hole Symposium. What is this? It is the Economic Policy Symposium held in Jackson Hole, Wyoming State. Now, it's been attended by the central bankers, finance minister, academics, PhDs from many reputed business schools and financial management institutes. Uh, and it's been happened from all around the world. Now, on the third day of BRICS Summit, we are having a good like group talk conference meeting on the US ally related countries and financial policymakers. So for obvious reasons, this day is also very much important to watch out. But as I spoke, that any scalping on M1 is you can relate to the market and then you can go enter. Otherwise, for the any long-term trade, like on H4 or H1 chart, if anyone is used to trade, I would like to say to stay put and watch the movements, because a lot of things gonna happen this week. We haven't seen something like this before. Now on Friday we have German IFO business climate news for Euro. We have UOM consumer summit. We have Fed Chair Powell news. That's one of the most important news that's going to come next week on Friday for US dollar. And also we have the day 2 of Jackson Hole Symposium. And also on that night, particular night, we have ECB President Lagarde's speeches. So in this week, this particular week, on the last day, we have speeches on United States Federal Reserve Chair and Euro Central Bank's chair. So I guess it will be 3 days of BRICS Summit and 3 days of it's against Summit, and that's going to happen in this upcoming week. So if you are a fundamental trader, you're going to enjoy it, watching the news, watching the movements, watching the speeches and all. If you're a technical trader, I would suggest not to go for the long term. I would suggest to stay put in a very short term like M1 or M5 entry in the very static cases and just get out with profit as soon as possible, and re-entry if it permits. So this is how gonna I guess it will can be a very much safe side to trade. Now let's have a look to good articles that we are going to discuss over here. So this is the pound as it was on the weekly chart. So on the weekly chart, it's been on the good supply side. On the demand side, we're seeing. Now, if this demand been respected, then GBP/USD is gonna go up, but not then go down, and at least to this level on the weekly chart. So for Euro USD, this is how they're gonna. It's also on the demand side of the trend line, as we can see. For USD CHF, if a trend line been drawn in this way, then it's also on the supply side on USD CHF. For USD CAD, I guess it's likely to be created a W structure over here, and then we can say what gonna happen. For USD JPY, I guess a good divergence is gonna expected. So that's how we can see from this article. Let's move it to the next one. It's been told by Mark to Market blog that yen's recovery ahead of the weekend may give the yuan a reprieve or be ready for BRICS to disappoint high hopes for a dollar on alternative. Maybe sound a little bit confusing, but let's just break it out. Thing is, if Japanese yen recovers on the week, then Chinese yuan will be kind of reprived, and the high hopes for a dollar alternative that's been spoken for BRICS is gonna go a little bit downward. So if somehow yen is gonna recover, and then it's gonna happen. If not, then Chinese yuan will be a little bit in a positive side, and on the BRICS summit they will disclose some good positive side according to them. So let's see how the news goes. There seems to be 3 large forces shaping the investment climate. That is the first news. That's why I like this blog. I like this blog, Mark to Market. They just pinpoint the exact things. So this is the first line I would like to quote for this live session and want to tell you is that there seem to be three large forces shaping the investment climate. Now, as we speak, if we can put our concentration on, let's just say, gold pair, now on H4, it was continuously on the bearish side for the past 4 weeks. Let me remind you, past 4 weeks, it was just on the downturn on the bearish side. Now, what happened? In this 4 week, it created a divergence over here and also over here. Now, if by any chance it breaks this level, it can go a little bit high up to 1920 or 25 level, or more 1935 or 40 level. But it can create some good spikes, and then US dollar can have some good strength on the Wednesday or Thursday newses, and then it can go on the bearish side, because we are saying that still there are some liquidity needs to be hunt on this level, which is a 1850 level. So we are still eyeing on it. Let's see what happens. Now, okay. So first is the resilience of the US economy with 4 consecutive quarters of above trend growth. So US economy somehow is growing on the numbers, and it appears that it's been expanding faster than the 2.4% annualized pace seen in Q2. So the monetary policy tightening cycle is widely seen as almost over. And also, thirdly, the poor economic performance in Europe and China is in stark contrast to the US-Euro. Does not appear to be considering fresh measures to support the economy. Now, in generally, we can say that US economy is providing surprisingly resilient. And retail sales rose 1%, and then it was 1.2% increase in Q2, nearly from the January. It's been showing some good number sides over here, as we are seeing. So for reference, I'm putting these news link in this chat so that you all can have a look at it. Okay. Okay, so we have two newses over here. Brother, can you please explain slowly and in Bangla? Well, in Bangla, we had our sessions and live market discussions on Saturday. And so if you can have an access over here, you can say, yeah, this is the Bengali video that we had done yesterday. So it's the kind of the same thing, but extra, we are doing some news analysis over here. And we are doing it in English for the global clients, so that you can also have some look on it at your free time, and obviously with subtitles open so that you can easily understand. Now, okay, second question is US 30 analysis, please. Yeah, definitely, we are gonna do that. We are definitely gonna do US 30 analysis today. Now, before doing so, we are just going to discussing some important factors or needs to be very much need to be on our thought process before we proceed trading in the upcoming week. That's what actually we're discussing right now. Now, alongside the stronger than expected Q2 GDP, Japan reported the deflator accelerated to 3.4% from 2. However, Japan's growth was not so much a domestic demand story, but one of the stronger exports, including hospitality services and tourism. Now, if stronger the Japan side, then the weaker the Chinese side, and it also strengthened the US side also. So this is the equation we can say from the fundamental factors and the political factors according to the blog element that we are seeing up. On the China, officials managing the world's second largest economy appear becoming more desperate. Several multi-pronged initiatives have been announced, and informal power to reduce dollar purchase and encourage dollar sales cut mortgage rates, and deter equity sales has to be exercised. Now, the policy divergence has seen Chinese 10 years bonds trade at 170 BP discount to US Treasuries, the most since 2007. Also, Chinese stocks are performing miserably. Now, overall scenario for China, they have been in a very bad side so far. Now, for the news that's going to release on 1 year rate on Monday, that's going to tell, uh, brief, representation of the situation, what actually Chinese economy is right now. So according to that, we have already informed you that if on that day Chinese news gonna release and the news is negative on the Chinese side, it will be positive for US dollar and it allies too, including Japan. Now, China's PBOC regulators urge boosting loans, cutting debt risk. China's central bank and financial regulators met with the bank executives and told lenders again to boost loans to support the recovery, adding the sign of heightened concern from the policymakers about the deteriorating economic outlook. So the economy has been deteriorating. Okay, that's the correct pronunciation, I guess. It means it's been on the downside, but to cover it up, they need to increase the loan boost so that the small business owners in China on the manufacturing side can have a little bit support, and they are out of debt risk in this situation. Now, if China does so, initially it can reduce its debt risk, but in the longer run, it's been will be a very much hard and a harsh road for China to overcome all these factors that actually been affected due to US sanction, and also China's relationship with the US also been deteriorating. So if we sum up all those factors, then we can say that any negative value to China is going to go positive for US. Any positive value for China is going to go negative for US. So that's is the correlation we will find for the next week, according to the news that's going to come. Now, China leaders vow to lift consumption without detailing how. Now, to support the economy, they're vowing and taking initiatives to lift the consumption. But how it gonna be happen, they still didn't disclose yet. But we are gonna see in a very short term. Okay. Now let's move to another article which says us that charting the global economy, China reduces key interest rates. So there's a high chance that China is gonna reduce its key interest rates, because if that's so, we all know that it will not support the debt crisis. It will not support the small manufacturers from the China, and it will be a bad news for Chinese economy, and will be a kind of positive for US dollar too. So the bad news in China kept rolling in the week, as data showed further signs of softening growth and evidence mounted with the property crisis. So Chinese property market, we have many vlogs and articles on YouTube. So I would suggest our viewers to have a look on those videos too, if you want to know how the Chinese retail house market crisis been created, or even they're actually been in this property crisis for some couple of years. And Japan's price growth in the services hit 2%. So in these cases, China's growth is going down, Japan's growth is going up. So for obviously, we can say that US dollar is also going to react as a stronger. That's what actually we have been seeing in the commodity markets for the past 4 weeks, and also in some recent days, except British pound, because British pound, I guess, is gonna be more stronger than the US dollar. That's why the GBP USD pairs is gonna go sideways. Now, for the US side, economists see a stronger US economy in the next year and a smaller rise in unemployment, and supporting expectations that the Federal Reserve will keep interest rates higher for longer. and they also have been announced that up to next April, it needs to go higher. So they are thinking the interest rates a hike gonna go continue until the next year's 2024's April. So that's how they are gonna support their economy in midst of many liquidation on the Ukraine due to Russia-Ukraine tensions, and also many spending. And also in 2024 they have elections coming on the 2024 November. So to make things right before the elections, they need to act very firmly. That's obviously they know. In addition to China's surprise reaction rates, Uruguay delivered bigger than expected and New Zealand held steady. Russia's central bank raised interest rates sharply and said another increase is possible at an emergency meeting called to stabilize its currency. After the sanction, Russia has increased its rates, and obviously this is one of the factors that's been working on strengthening the US dollar fundamentally and its reflection into many instruments related to US dollar and US economy. We are going to see another article over here. This article is also from so I'm gonna put these news articles over here to you. Someone asked a question, has any relation between China and Australian currency? Yes, obviously there is, because China is one of the biggest trade partners of Australia. And in the global commodity market, Australia is a very key player because Australia has been plugging out golds from its mines, and in the global commodity market, especially on gold market, Australia is a very key player. And China and all other Asian countries like Japan also and India too, they are very much keenly depend on the gold as a commodity, apart from any paper currency as a reserve. So for obvious reasons, I can say that yes, there are very good. I mean, there are many factors that affects the relationships between China and Australia. So anything related to negative on China is gonna go negative on Australian dollar, because any toothbrush is gonna go buy on Australian market, it's surely gonna come from China. And also Australia produces many soybean oils, food materials that Chinese people actually imports from Australia. And it's not kind of like it's been happening some couple of years. It's been happening for many long days. So this is kind of like tradition on many business aspects or provinces to send these things to Australia and receive these goods from Australia. So that's how the China and Australia relationship related to their trades and businesses are being maintained. And on currency, yes, there is also correlations. And I also inform those. Positive news for China is positive news for you, Australian dollar. Negative for China is negative for Australian dollar. Now, RBNZ, Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor, Silk says slowdown in China, easing global growth, a risk. Now, weakness in China's economy is going to result consumer spending down, high debt in property sector. That leaves China had used previously to keep growth going, were going to be harder to pull. Like before, if China needs to pull up its growth, there's gonna a lot of work need to do, a lot of time required. So that's how New Zealand, Reserve Bank of New Zealand guys are been thinking about. Now, in between this scenario, Japan is to increase the minimum pay by record as inflation takes hold. Now, as inflation is taking a hold, they are thinking to increase their wages in Japan's economy. So it's gonna go boost. I think the effect will have a boost in Japan's market. That's what we have been talking about. So anything related to AUD JPY, if we can say some good bearish movement, we will surely gonna go on that way. Like say if we can analyze AUD JPY like this. Okay. I guess I need to input AUD JPY once again. I mean, there are many instruments to look on, but we are talking about those only that actually put interest of you. And according to it, I feel in the next week, odd JPY has a good, yeah. So this is how it is for AUD JPY. Now, if Chinese news decreases, Australian dollar is going to go weak. And on the other hand, Japan was going to go strong. So for that case, for only that case, I guess these level is going to break. Market has a chance to touch these levels over here if this level breaks. So this is the way we can put our eyes on. And as we can see, it's nothing but more than kind of like 280, sorry, 200 pips movement been expected. But before that movement, it needs to have some harsh buy stop hunt over this zone. So when the buy stop hunt done, then we can put a sell stop over here on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then we expect to turn on this kind of scenario. So that's how we can say, according to fundamental factors news, that we are seeing now for now. Okay. This is an article I'm not going to describe on live right now, but I guess it been reflected a long overview on China and US dollar relationship. So for the reference, I'm going to post you these links so that you all can have a look at your very own free time and can have a discussion among your trading partners how these news or data can reflect over the market. Now, Penn Sudden reopen, Powell floats Shelton for Fed board. Now, we in this dire tension moment on geopolitically, we are seeing that on Federal Reserve Board, there has been a chance to reshuffle some, tendencies on the Fed chair. So I guess on Thursday, Trump said in an interview with Fox Business that he would not reappoint Powell if elected. So anyone, let's just say Powell has been re-elected, then the situation that what actually has been going on continues. If Powell is not re-elected, then situation may go just 180-degree alter, because whoever comes on that way is going to be a powerful person from the Trump perspective and can act, against Biden policies in some cases, because it's not like many of the other countries economy works like US. It's kind of like different. Federal Reserve is another entity, government is another entity. Both has their point of views and elects what actually better and decide what's actually better for their own and also for the people. So that's how the thing it is now in this tension on the BRICS summit. Many news releases from the US and allies countries. We also have to put our eye on the election of the Federal Reserve chair. Now, US, I'm going to put this another article just for reference. Now, in this article, when you read, you will see that how US economy has been reacting according to the unemployment rates, on the interest rates, how how the GDP is going to reacting according to US inflation. So I guess this is going to be a good news to have a look on now. Another news, Russia's powerful split into squabbling factions over the ruble. Whatever the thing Russia thought that, yeah, this actually can help support the situation, but it actually deteriorated. It actually been on the downside. And they have been experiencing vulnerability at a time the country is trying to sustain the biggest conflict in Europe since World War II. So the Russian central bank appears to getting dragged into proving its responsibility by criticism from government economists and ministers. Commerce Bank AG analysts include Ante Praefe said the report. Now, the recent rate hike appeared very much as if the Bank of Russia had been put in a corner by such criticisms. Now, Russia interest rate been raised in between the global sanction scenario. Now, imagine you were wandering around in an island, you are only alone, and some, your enemy It's just pinpointing the gun, just circling all around the island you are living on now. In that scenario, you are actually going to the beach by whistling some songs and kind of like that. So Russia is acting kind of like that, as we can see. They have been increasing their interest rates to boost their internal economical structure, and in between that kind of global sanction, that kind of liquidity shortage in their normal markets. So it's been kind of like suspicious too in some many senses. That's what actually Bloomberg is gonna put their eye on over this article. So for the reference, I'm also putting this article over here so that you can have a look on. Now, all eyes is there on Jackson Hole symposium. Now, in this symposium, we already been knew that many economists and central bankers is going to come for their policy rates. Now, if by any reason US dollar is going to go either on the stronger side or the weaker side after that, right? And in between that, there will be very much spikes. So I would suggest M1, M5 time frames trader to put execute and then put profit at fast and get out of the market as fast as they can. But for the long-term traders, I would like to suggest that, guys, please just rest a week. Just watch the moves. Just watch how the market reacts, because it's going to be a very tension week, including breaks, many other newses, and also on the Friday we have two major economical central banker speeches. So obviously, that's going to reflect many set bearer facts and events for the market that's going to coming next month or next weeks. So let's go to the chart. In the meantime, we've already been expressed our concerns on AUD/JPY. So we are seeing only the bearish side over here. If we even see any bullish side, we will not take it because that doesn't support the fundamental news and facts. That's what actually been on the market. Now for USD CAD, as we spoke, that if the US dollar strength continues, then it has the ability to, I'm going to write once again, it's going to go 200 pips upward movement. If not, we will see a downward movement, at least 200 pips, then again 300 pips up from this zone, which is 1.33 psychological level, and then go shoot up. So that's how we are seeing for the upcoming week on USD CAD. So we are considering a 200 pip downwards movement and then a 300 pips upward movement for USD CAD for the upcoming week. Now for the GBP USD, we have seen that past 2 weeks it's been on the same range. Now we are expecting the range breakout over this week. So if by any chance an H1 or H4 level closes above 1.282 levels, then we are going to eye for a bullish movement at least up to 150 plus pips at 1.298 levels, or furthermore on our target 2 level could be 1.312 level, which is 300 pips movement from the initial buying price side. Now for the alternate side, if we see any downside closing on H1 and H4 below 1.26 level, which is this, and obviously in this zone, then we can say that we were expecting some bearish movement from here to initially 80 pips below at 1.2510 level, or furthermore at 250 plus pips bearish side movement up to 1.23408. So that's what we are seeing for GBP USD side. We still know which way it's going to be, but as many important news is going to come next week, so we are expecting some range breakouts going to happen and establish a trend. Now for gold, we have already shared our view that yes, for the longer term scenario, it's been under these levels, so it's likely to hit more on the downside. But before that, there is a chance that it can go a little bit bullish movement. It can show some bullish movement, at least 200 pips or 300 pips above, because there are a lot of spikes and a lot of news events is going to come next week. But after that, it has the potentiality to go downside. So we are expecting a weaker US dollar on the beginning of the week on Monday and Tuesday, But on the Tuesday US time, from the Tuesday or Wednesday US time, we are expecting some good US dollar strong side movement. And also alternate things can happen. If we see some good strong side movement on US dollar Monday and Tuesday, we will expect some US dollar weak movements from the Wednesday US market time. So that's how we are thinking on the upcoming week. I guess those who are connected to our free groups, I guess you are all connected and can have a view of our these free channel where we share our signals and point of view. We also offer paid signal services too. Though in the some recent days we had some bad performances, but it's not been, I'm sure that it's not going to be that much continuous. Things going to go recover very soon, and we will be on the track on making profits from the market on the upcoming week. Now, we had some discussion on US 30. Someone asked that what could be the US 30 scenario. Now, as we have uh, you know discussing for US 30 previously, we have discussed that if the price goes below this level, which is 34,975, then it's likely to go initially this level, which is 450 plus points below, which is 34,500 level. Now, for the target 2, our target was 34050. So we have seen the market reached our target 1 price last week on US 30. Now, for the upcoming week, we are expecting some 400 plus point movements on US 30. So we are expecting a downside move for 34,500 to 34050 level. Now, the thing is, how and when we can put our sell orders. Now, if we see that there's some jerking movements on the bullish side on US 30, let's just say it moves 200 or 300 points above, and when the scenario happens on Wednesday US time or Tuesday US time, if the time acts that we can see any strength on US side on this particular 2 days US time, then we can go short for US 30. Otherwise, not. On the alternate side, if anyhow the price breaks and this level, which is 35100, which is this, and then it's likely to go at least touch 355 level, because past 4 weeks US 30, past 4 days US 30 was falling. On the past let's just say 4 weeks, past 1 to 3 weeks it was sideways, and then on the last week it just eventually go a little bit bearish side. So here we are expecting on US 30 a little bit bullish, then downside, or on the alternate side a little bit downside and then go bullish. So that's what we are seeing over US 30 right now. So I guess we can look for many other questions. Okay, USD CAD may go on 1.33. We haven't talked any certain levels on 1.33, but yes, if the bearish thing continues, the gap is 100 or 200 pips. So yeah, there's a chance that yes, it may touch 1.33 or 335 levels before going stronger up to 1.37 level. Okay, so there is a liquidity attention over here. That's how the market is acting, strength over here. And I'm talking about this kind of liquidity over here, and moreover on this side too, and more this side. So there are liquidity being clogged out over here, and there is a high chance that this liquidity is gonna touch. So before that, there's a chance it may go bearish a little bit, then go up. So that's why on the bearish side, that should not be our tension. That should not be our preference, because it can be kind of like a slight rejection too on the higher time frame. But we have to stick to the main trend. So if any US dollar strong scenario or setup happens on the smaller time frames, we surely would like to suggest that yes, you might take it. So that's how we can say how the market's gonna react in different pairs. So far we have discussed. Now our discussions can continue all night long, even if we wish. But I guess that's all gonna be for now. So I guess after this discussion, you can actually put this discussion in addition to your own setup. And when you do so, we can have relaxed like this. You can see you're seeing in the view in a remote island, just trading with your friends and with your partners, and actually have some good profits. So that's what actually we are eyeing for in the next week. So see you soon, guys, and obviously I hope you all to join next week Sunday 9 p.m. to join our English session. For any Bengali session, we arrange it on Saturday 9 p.m. GMT plus 6 time and EST 11 a.m. time. So see you on the next week, and in the meantime, in this week, if you are one of our attendees on our paid groups, so obviously you can join our internal live trading sessions too. So on those sessions, we will discuss how we are actually reflecting the newses and how we are making our decisions. So this is gonna create a little bit understanding between us as a service provider to you as a service takers too, so that you can also know how we are seeing the market, how we are adjusting and want to cope up with the market movements, and how we are suggesting you to take those suggestions and how we can make profit. That's how is our discussion is gonna be for the next week. So that's all, I guess, all for now from my side. See you all next week, guys. And thank you all for joining. And don't forget to subscribe Forex Live, oh, sorry, Forex Wave Export YouTube channel. You just need to like and subscribe. And also, don't forget to like our these videos too. Share this video from here on Forex Wave Expert YouTube's channel's live section, so that many of your trader friends and dearest ones who trades can have at least some good features and factors considered before entering into the market, so that it can help making them a good bunch of profit or reducing losses. That's the same thing, guys. So have a nice day, week ahead. Bye bye. See you next week.